Okay, me trying not to cry, dropping you off at boarding. Be a good girl. Be a good girl. I know. Hello YouTube. I said that I was taking a break for a week or so because I went on a mini vacation to Las Vegas, but I am back now and I thought we would talk about it. Meanwhile, I have this drawing here that we're going to paint and we're going to talk about at the same time. This drawing here I kind of drew on accident. I was meaning to draw or paint something else, but this kind of accidentally appeared. And the problems I'm actually currently experiencing is I don't really know what I want to do for a color palette. I think what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to use my little Kusakabe pink watercolor paint, and I think I'm going to use the Martini set. And my mind's eye kind of tells me that this needs to be like pink, maybe yellow going into pink, and then like a white tiger. I don't know. So that probably means because I don't have a plan and I don't have a good mental image, I'll probably ruin it. But we're going to do this anyway because I want to talk about my very interesting Las Vegas trip. So yeah, I have not been to Las Vegas since I was a teenager. I think I mentioned that before. I think the last time I was there, maybe I was 17 or 18 years old. I'm not really sure, but I was young enough to where I got kicked out of whatever casino Celine Dion was performing at. But my memories of Las Vegas are definitely very different of what they actually look like today. It was kind of interesting. I was very excited about going originally. I mean, I was still excited. I would go back again because I don't feel like I saw everything that I wanted to see. But my memories of Las Vegas, I literally feel like it was just the strip was just a street, like a one street, and then you had like the casinos on either side. I do remember lots of inappropriate, not child-friendly material littering the ground everywhere. You couldn't escape it. So in a way, I kind of felt like current modern day Vegas was a lot cleaner than the Vegas I was at last time, but there was a whole lot more walking. It's no longer just like a single street. There's ups and downs and lots of construction, and there's a lot more there jammed into one space than what I actually remember. So there were a lot of nooks and crannies that I really wanted to walk into to explore that I just didn't really have time to. Primarily, we were there because it was my sister-in-law's 21st birthday. And again, she's a really good girl. She doesn't do anything terribly exciting. We weren't going to do anything inappropriate for her, well, or for us, really. We're just not that exciting of people. But she wanted to do something that sounded kind of adultish for her 21st birthday. And I totally get that because I wanted to do that too. So we went there to celebrate with her, so we spent a lot of time with family. However, it was an interesting experience from the get-go. So we live about maybe 11 and a half hours from Las Vegas if we drove, and we had originally intended on like driving there just to have like our own vehicle and to have a say so when we can come and go and do as we please. But at the same time, we also knew that my husband's job isn't that forgiving. So we kind of were like, I don't know if we'll have time for this. We literally ended up leaving for Vegas after he got off of work. So if we had to drive there, we would have had to have started our drive at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon and then driven throughout the night. And we were only going to spend just the weekend there. So driving, while technically we could have done it, and we have done things like that before, we're a little bit too tired to do that this time. So we opted to take an airplane because an airplane is going to be quicker. However, airplane prices are absolutely crazy. It only takes, maybe an hour or two to fly there, but the airplane prices from where I live to where Vegas is, it was about $1,600 for the both of us round trip to get there. And we went to Europe on very similar prices. I wasn't willing to pay to visit something stateside, something relatively local for us, for the prices that we could pay to get to Europe. So I was like, no, absolutely not. So instead, we ended up driving 3 hours away. So my husband got off work. We immediately got into the car and we drove for 3 hours. We hitched a plane in Albuquerque, which was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars cheaper. Just meant that we were going to have to drive home after all of that too. We ended up landing around 9 a.m. and we checked into our hotel, which was the Horseshoe Casino, which I've never heard of before. I think it's a rename of another hotel that I've also never heard of before. But one thing that I did learn about Vegas that I don't remember from the last time is that a lot of the casinos are connected to one another. So in some ways, you don't really need to go outside that much. You could just go from connected hotel to connected hotel to connected hotel, which I thought was really cool because I don't remember that from the last time. Which also meant that our hotel was connected to the Paris Casino, which I think at the moment is my favorite place to be because it's absolutely gorgeous in there. We really only had one major goal that we wanted to accomplish while we were there, and that was go to a buffet. So the last time I was there, we did not get a Vegas buffet, but that's one of the primary reasons why I think people go to Vegas is to try the food. So we ate at this place called the Wicked Spoon, which was, in all honesty, I thought the food quality was on par with what we got on like a cruise ship. I wasn't that impressed, but it sure did look nice. This first day was just spent primarily walking up and down the strip. I did keep my eye out for some artsy looking stuff, but in the end, I didn't really find that much as generally the strip just has a bunch of luxury goods that I can't afford. I did find this one cute store here though, but I didn't ultimately end up buying anything. This strip also had some cool things too, like I saw the Hello Kitty cafe, but I didn't end up stopping. We ran out of time, and then they had like a Stranger Things Netflix store. I think they had like a Hunger Games event going on, but that cost money to get into. I did come across a Marvel store, a Marvel exhibit that I managed to get into for free, but I think they had other things you had to pay for. So that was kind of cool. And then I'm going to pause my really bad voiceover for a quick little montage of the one other thing my sister-in-law wanted to see. And you guys have probably seen it on TikTok as well, as it went a little bit viral. So yeah, a Mega Mart. I don't know if I have much of an opinion on this. I honestly don't know what I was expecting. Perhaps if TikTok hadn't kind of spoiled it for me, it was definitely interesting. I don't think I would see it again, but I do think it was kind of an interesting time waster. I think kids might get a kick out of it. What they called it was just an art exhibit. They called it an art exhibit, and that's pretty much what it was. The only remaining thing that I got to do on our trip this time was I finally got to see a Las Vegas Cirque du Soleil show, which is something that I have also been wanting to do for years. I got to see a smaller one last year for my birthday in Atlanta, but it wasn't as big of a production as the one here in Vegas. So I was very excited to see it. Again, no footage because they didn't allow for that to happen in there, but overall, highly recommend see a show in Vegas. So, our return trip home. This is where it gets kind of fun because you're already kind of tired and cranky from vacation. Who doesn't, especially when you're in a family group? But we had a 1 hour layover in between airplanes, and our very first airplane of the day had some sort of technical problems and it got delayed for 4 hours, which is the absolute worst thing that I want to hear when it comes to airplanes. I am absolutely terrified of airplanes and I can barely get on them without being medicated. they freak me out. So to hear that the airplane had a technical issue and it was going to be delayed while they got it fixed absolutely freaked me out. And they wouldn't let us switch airplanes because we had paid for our tickets with airline miles. So they said we weren't going to miss our airplane. It was just going to be delayed. So they were not going to comp us with different tickets or be able to transfer us to a different airlines. We had to keep the flight that we already had. But in that case, that meant that we were going to miss our next flight during the layover. So we were going to end up having to spend the night wherever the airline dropped us off at. So in the end, it ended up okay. We ended up having to spend the night in Salt Lake City, and obviously we got on and off the airplane just fine. Nothing happened, but totally spooked us, freaked us out, made us extra cranky. But go technology. By the time we had gotten off of our first airplane, they had already sent us a text message with a hotel and food vouchers and shacked us up for the night. So we didn't have to plan or think about it. I thought for sure we would have to go to like the ticket counter and complain or something. But it's been a while since I've been on an airplane, and I didn't know that, of course, they would have technology able to do that automatically. So that made things a lot more bearable. And in the end, we did end up getting home safely, albeit much later than we had anticipated. And I did have to pay for an extra day at the boarding facility where I dropped my dog off at. And that's it. This is my finished illustration, and that was my weekend trip. I will post the full image on social media, so check out my social media if you want to see that. Otherwise, I will see you guys again in the future. Thank you again so much for watching. Bye-bye.